Good morning. This is Apostle Shirley Evans. We're still in the book of Proverbs, and I'm going to be speaking from Proverbs chapter 9, today being February 1st, 2025. Today is Saturday. The time is 4:05 a.m. I'm loving you more every day, loving you more every day. The more I love you, I want to show you I'm loving you more every day. Under his wings, under his wings, who from his love can sever? Under his wings, my soul shall abide, safely abide forever. Under his wings, I am safely abiding. Though the night glitters and darkness are wild, still I can trust him. No evil can harm me. He is my Father, and I am his child. Under his wings, under his wings, who from his love can sever? Under his wings, my soul shall abide, safely abide forever. So I'm going to be reading from Proverbs chapter 9. And before I start that, Proverbs gives some practical instruction on use of money. Although sometimes it is advice we would rather not hear, it's more comfortable to continue in our habits than to learn how to use money wisely. The advice includes be generous in giving. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 24 to 25. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 9. Place people's needs ahead of profit. Proverbs 11 verse 26. Be cautious of countersigning for another. Proverbs chapter 17 verse 18. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 26 and 27. Don't accept bribes. Proverbs chapter 17 verse 23. Help the poor. Proverbs chapter 19 verse 17 and Proverbs chapter 21 verse 13. Store up for the future. Proverbs chapter 21 verse 20. Be careful about borrowing. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 7. Hear that? Be careful about borrowing. Some people borrow so much money until they don't have none because they keep paying the bank. Teaching and learning. Good teaching comes from good learning. And Proverbs has more to say to students than to teachers. Proverbs is concerned with the learning of wisdom. The book makes it clear that there are no good alternatives to learning wisdom. We are either becoming wise learners or refusing to learn and becoming foolish failures. Proverbs encourage us to make the right choice. So the wise learners, they will quietly accept instruction and criticism, but the foolish will ignore instruction. The wise learners love discipline, but the foolish hate correction. The wise learners will listen to advice, but the foolish think they need no advice. The wise learners accept parents' discipline, but the foolish mock parents. The wise learners lead others to life. The foolish lead others astray. The wise learners receive honor, but the foolish one end in poverty and shame. The wise learners profit from constructive rebuke, but the foolish one self-destruct by refusing rebuke. So, I'm going to read from Proverbs chapter 9. Proverbs chapter 9, invitations of wisdom and folly. Proverbs chapter 9 verse 1 says, Wisdom has built a house. She has hewed out its 7 pillars. Verse 2, she has prepared her meat and mixed her wine. She has also set her table. Verse 3, she has sent out her maids, and she calls from the highest point of the city. Verse 4, let all who are simple come in here, she says to those who lack judgment. Verse 5, come, eat my food, and drink the wine I have mixed. Verse 5, leave your simple ways, and you will live. Walk in the way of understanding. Verse 7, whosoever corrects a mocker invites insult. Whoever rebukes a wicked man incurs abuse. Verse 8, do not rebuke a mocker, or he will hate you. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love you. Verse 9, instruct a wise man, and he will be wiser still. Teach a righteous man, and he will add to his learning. Verse 10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Verse 11, for through me your days will be many, and years will be added to your life. Verse 12, if you are wise, your wisdom will reward you. If you are a mocker, you alone will suffer. Verse 13, the woman folly is loud. She is undisciplined and without knowledge. Verse 14, she sits at the door of her house, on a seat at the highest point of the city. Verse 15, calling out to those who pass by, who go straight on their way. Verse 16, let all who are simple come in here, she says to those who lack judgment. Verse 17, stolen water is sweet, food eaten in secret is delicious. Verse 18, but little do they know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of the grave. Proverbs chapter 10. Proverbs of Solomon. Proverbs chapter 10 verse 1. The Proverbs of Solomon. A wise son brings joy to his father, but a foolish son grief to his mother. Verse 2. Ill-gotten treasures are of no value, but righteousness delivers from death. Verse 3. The Lord does not let the righteous go hungry, but he thwarts the craving of the wicked. Verse 4. Lazy hands make a man poor, but diligent hands bring wealth. Verse 5. He who gathers crops in summer is a wise son, but he who sleeps during harvest is a disgraceful son. Verse 6. Blessings crown the head of the righteous, but violence overwhelms the mouth of the wicked. Verse 7. The memory of the righteous will be a blessing, but the name of the wicked will rot. Verse 8. The wise in heart accept commands, but a chattering fool comes to ruin. Verse 9. The man of integrity walks securely, but he who takes crooked paths will be found out. Verse 10. He who winks maliciously causes grief, and a chattering fool comes to ruin. Verse 11. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but violence overwhelms the mouth of the wicked. Verse 12. Hatred stirs up dissension, but love covers over all wrongs. Verse 13. Wisdom is found on the lips of the discerning, but a rod is for the back of him who lacks judgment. Verse 14. Wise men store up knowledge, but the mouth of a fool invites ruin. Verse 15. The wealth of the rich is their fortified city, but poverty is the ruin of the poor. Verse 16. The wages of the righteous bring them life, but the income of the wicked brings them punishment. Verse 17. He who heeds discipline shows the way to life, but whoever ignores correction leads others astray. Verse 18. He who conceals his hatred has lying lips, and whoever spreads slander is a fool. Verse 19. When words are many, sin is not absent, but he who holds his tongue is wise. Verse 20. The tongue of the righteous is choice silver, but the heart of the wicked is of little value. Verse 21. The lips of the righteous nourish many, but fools die for lack of judgment. Verse 22. The blessing of the Lord brings wealth, and he adds no trouble to it. Verse 23. A fool finds pleasure in evil conduct, but a man of understanding delights in wisdom. Verse 24. What the wicked dreads will overtake him. What the righteous desire will be granted. Verse 25. When the storm has swept by, the wicked are gone, but the righteous stand firm forever. Verse 26. As vinegar to the teeth and smoke to the eyes, so is a sluggard to those who send him. Verse 27. The fear of the Lord adds length to life, but the years of the wicked are cut short. Verse 28. The prospect of the righteous is joy, but the hopes of the wicked come to nothing. Verse 29. The way of the Lord is a refuge for the righteous, but it is the ruin of those who do evil. Verse 30. The righteous will never be uprooted, but the wicked will not remain in the land. Verse 31. The mouth of the righteous brings forth wisdom, but a perverse tongue will be cut off. Verse 32. The lips of the righteous know what is fitting, but the mouth of the wicked only what is perverse. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 1. The Lord abhors dishonest scales, but accurate weights are his delight. Verse 2. When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. Verse 3. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. Verse 4. Wealth is worthless in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. Verse 5. The righteousness of the blameless makes a straight way for them, but the wicked are brought down by their own wickedness. Verse 6. The righteousness of the upright delivers them, but the unfaithful are trapped by evil desires. Verse 7. When a wicked man dies, his hope perishes. All he expected from his power comes to nothing. Verse 8. The righteous man is rescued from trouble, and it comes on the wicked instead. Verse 9. With his mouth the godless destroys his neighbor, but through knowledge the righteous escape. Verse 10. When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. When the wicked perish, there are shouts of joy. Verse 11. Through the blessing of the upright a city is exalted, but by the mouth of the wicked it is destroyed. Verse 12. A man who lacks judgment derides his neighbor, but a man of understanding holds his tongue. Verse 13. A gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy man keeps a secret. Verse 14. For lack of guidance, a nation falls, but many advisers make victory sure. Verse 15. He who puts up security for another will surely suffer, but whoever refuses to strike hands in pledge is safe. Verse 16. A kind-hearted woman gains respect, but ruthless men gain only wealth. Verse 17. A kind man benefits himself, but a cruel man brings trouble on himself. Verse 18. The wicked man earns deceptive wages, but he who sows righteousness reaps a sure reward. Verse 19. The truly righteous man attains life, but he who pursues evil goes to his death. Verse 20. The Lord detests men of a perverse heart, but he delights in those whose ways are blameless. Verse 21. Be sure of this, the wicked will not go unpunished, but those who are righteous will go free. Verse 22. Like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman who shows no direction. Verse 23. The desire of the righteous ends only in good, but the hope of the wicked only in wrath. Verse 24. One man gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. Verse 25. A generous man will prosper. He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. Verse 26. People curse the man who hoards grain, but blessing crowns him who is willing to sell. Verse 27. He who seeks good finds goodwill, but evil comes to him who searches for it. Verse 28. Whoever trusts in his riches will fall, but the righteous will thrive like a green leaf. Verse 29. He who brings trouble on his family will inherit only wind, and the fool will be servant to the wise. Verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he who wins souls is wise. Verse 31. If the righteous receive their due on earth, how much more the ungodly and the sinner? Verse 12. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates correction is stupid. Verse 2. A good man obtains favor from the Lord, but the Lord condemns a crafty man. Verse 3. A man cannot be established through wickedness, but the righteous cannot be uprooted. Verse 4. A wife of noble character is a husband's crown, but a disgraceful wife is like decay in his bones. Verse 5. The plans of the righteous are just, but the advice of the wicked is deceitful. Verse 6. The words of the wicked lie in wait for blood, but the speech of the upright rescues them. Verse 7. Wicked men are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous stands firm. Verse 8. A man is praised according to his wisdom, but men with warped minds are despised. Verse 9. Better to be a nobody and yet have a servant than pretend to be somebody and have no food. Verse 10. A righteous man cares for the needs of his animal, but the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel. Verse 11. He who works his land will have abundant food, but he who chases fantasies lacks judgment. Verse 12. The wicked desire the plunder of evil men, but the root of the righteous flourishes. Verse 13. An evil man is trapped by his sinful talk, but a righteous man escapes trouble. Verse 14. From the fruit of his lips a man is filled with good things, as surely as the work of his hands rewards him. Verse 15. The way of a fool seems right to him, but a wise man listens to advice. Verse 16. A fool shows his annoyance at once, but a prudent man overlooks an insult. Verse 17. A truthful witness gives honesty testimony, but a false witness tells lies. Verse 18. Reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Verse 19. Truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue lasts only a moment. Verse 20. There is deceit in the hearts of those who plot evil, but joy for those who promote peace. Verse 21. No harm befalls the righteous, but the wicked have their fill of trouble. Verse 22. The Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in men who are truthful. Verse 23. A prudent man keeps his knowledge to himself, but the heart of fools blurts out folly. Verse 24. Diligent hands will rule, but laziness ends in slave labor. Verse 25. An anxious heart weighs a man down, but a kind word cheers him up. Verse 26. A righteous man is cautious in friendship, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. Verse 27. The lazy man does not roast his game, but the diligent man prizes his possessions. Verse 28. In the way of righteousness there is life. Along that path is immorality. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 1. A wise son heeds his father's instruction, but a mocker does not listen to rebuke. Verse 2. From the fruit of his lips a man enjoys good things, but the unfaithful have a craving for violence. Verse 3. He who guards his lips guards his life, but he who speaks rashly will come to ruin. Verse 4. The sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. Verse 5. The righteous hate what is false, but the wicked bring shame and disgrace. Verse 6. Righteousness guards the man of integrity, but wickedness overthrows the sinner. Verse 7. One man pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. Verse 8. A man's riches may ransom his life, but a poor man hears no threat. Verse 9. The light of the righteous shines brightly, but the lamp of the wicked is snuffed out. Verse 10. Pride only breeds quarrels, but wisdom is found in those who take advice. Verse 11. Dishonest money dwindles away, but he who gathers money little by little makes it grow. Verse 12. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. Verse 13. He who scorns instruction will pay for it, but he who respects a command is rewarded. Verse 14. Teaching of the wise is a fountain of life, turning a man from the snares of death. Verse 15. Good understanding wins favor, but the way of the unfaithful is hard. Verse 16. Every prudent man acts out knowledge, but a fool exposes his folly. 17. A wicked messenger falls into trouble, but a trustworthy envoy brings healing. Verse 18. He who ignores discipline comes to poverty and shame, but whoever heeds correction is honored. Verse 19. A longing fulfilled is sweet to the soul, but fools detest turning from evil. Verse 20. He who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm. Verse 21. Misfortune pursues the sinner, but prosperity is the reward of the righteous. Verse 22. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. Verse 23. A good man's field may produce abundant food, but injustice sweeps it away. Verse 24. He who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is careful to discipline him. Verse 25. The righteous eat to their heart's content, but the stomach of the wicked goes hungry. Chapter 14. The wise one builds her house, but with her own hands the foolish one tears hers down. Verse 2. He whose walk is upright fears the Lord, but he whose ways are devious despises him. Verse 3. A fool's talk brings a rod to his back, but the lips of the wise protect them. Verse 4. Where there are no oxen, the manage is empty, but from the strength of an ox comes an abundant harvest. Verse 5. A truthful witness does not deceive, but a false witness pours out lies. Verse 6. The mocker seeks wisdom and finds none, but knowledge comes easily to the discerning. Verse 7. Stay away from a foolish man. for you will not find knowledge on his lips. Verse 8. The wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways, but the folly of fools is deception. Verse 9. Fools mock at making amends for sin, but goodwill is found among the upright. Verse 10. Each heart knows its own bitterness, and no one else can share its joy. Verse 11. The house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish. Verse 12. There is a way that seems right to a man, but in the end it leads to death. Even in laughter, the heart may ache. That's verse 13. Even in laughter, the heart may ache, and joy may end in grief. Verse 14. The faithless will be fully repaid for their ways, and the good man rewarded for his. Verse 15. A simple man believes anything, but a prudent man gives thought to his steps. Verse 16. A wise man fears the Lord and shuns evil, but a fool is hot-headed and reckless. Verse 17. A quick-tempered man does foolish things, and a crafty man is hated. Verse 18. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Verse 19. Evil men will bow down in the presence of the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. Verse 20. The poor are shunned even by their neighbors, but the rich have many friends. Verse 21. He who despises his neighbor sins, but blessed is he who is kind to the needy. Verse 22. Do not those who plot evil go astray, but those who plan what is good find love and faithfulness. Verse 23. All hard works brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Verse 24. The wealth of the wise is their crown, but the folly of fools yields folly. Verse 25. A truthful witness saves lives, but a false witness is deceitful. Verse 26. He who fears the Lord has a secure fortress, and for his children it will be a refuge. Verse 27. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, turning a man from the snares of death. Verse 28. A large population is a king's glory, but without subjects a prince is ruined. Verse 29. A patient man has great understanding, but a wicked-tempered man displays folly. Verse 30. A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. Verse 31. He who oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God. Verse 32. When calamity comes, the wicked are brought down, but even in death the righteous have a refuge. Verse 33. Wisdom reposes in the heart of the discerning, and even among fools she lets herself be known. Verse 34. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. Verse 35. A king delights in a wise servant, but a shameful servant incurs his wrath. Proverbs chapter 15. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Verse 2. The tongue of the wise commends knowledge, but the mouth of the fool gushes folly. Verse 3. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the wicked and the good. Verse 4. The tongue that brings healing is a tree of life, but a deceitful tongue crushes the spirit. Verse 5. A fool spurns his father's discipline, but whoever heeds correction shows prudence. Verse 6. The house of the righteous contains great treasure, but the income of the wicked brings them trouble. Verse 7. The lips of the wise spread knowledge, not so the hearts of fools. Verse 8. The Lord detects the sacrifice of the wicked, but the prayer of the upright pleases him. Verse 9. The Lord detests the way of the wicked, but he loves those who pursue righteousness. Verse 10. Stern discipline awaits him who leaves the path. He who hates correction will die. Verse 11. Death and destruction lie open before the Lord. How much more the hearts of men? Verse 12. A mocker resents correction. He will not consult the wise. Verse 13. A happy heart makes the face cheerful, but heartache crushes the spirit. Verse 14. The discerning heart seeks knowledge, but the mouth of a fool feeds on folly. Verse 15. All the days of the oppressed are wretched, but the cheerful heart has a continual feast. Verse 16. Better a little with the fear of the Lord than a great wealth with turmoil. Verse 17. Better a meal of vegetables where there is love than a fattened calf with hatred. Verse 18. A hot-tempered man stirs up dissension, but a patient man calms a quarrel. Verse 19. The way of the sluggard is blocked with thorns, but the path of the upright is a highway. Verse 20. A wise son brings joy to his father, but a foolish man despises his mother. Verse 21. Folly delights a man who lacks judgment, but a man of understanding keeps a straight course. Verse 22. Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisers they succeed. Verse 23. A man finds joy in giving an apt reply, and how good is a timely word. Verse 24. The path of life leads upward for the wise, to keep him from going down to the grave. Verse 25. The Lord tears down the proud man's house, but he keeps the widow's boundaries intact. Verse 26. The Lord detests the thoughts of the wicked, but those of the pure are pleasing to him. Verse 27. A greedy man brings trouble to his family, but he who hates bribes will live. Verse 26. The heart of the righteous weighs its answers, but the mouth of the wicked gushes evil. Verse 29. The Lord is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayer of the righteous. Verse 30. A cheerful look brings joy to the heart, and good news gives health to the bones. Verse 31. He who listens to a life-giving rebuke will be at home among the wise. Verse 32. He who ignores discipline despises himself, but whoever heeds correction gains understanding. Verse 33. The fear of the Lord teaches a man wisdom, and humility comes before honor. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 1. To man belong the plans of the heart, but from the Lord comes the reply of the tongue. Verse 2. All a man's ways seem innocent to him, but motives are weighed by the Lord. Verse 2. Verse 3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. Verse 4. The Lord works out everything for his own ends, even the wicked for a day of disaster. Verse 5. The Lord detests all the proud of heart. Be sure of this, they will not go unpunished. Verse 6. Through love and faithfulness, sin is atoned for. Through the fear of the Lord, a man avoids evil. Verse 7. When a man's ways are pleasing to the Lord, he makes even his enemies live at peace with him. Verse 8. Better a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice. Verse 9. In his heart a man plans his course, but the Lord determines his steps. Verse 10. The lips of a king speak as an oracle, and his mouth should not betray justice. Verse 11. Honest scales and balances are from the Lord. All the weights in the bag are of his making. Verse 12. Kings detest wrongdoing, for a throne is established through righteousness. Verse 13. Kings take pleasure in honest lips. They value a man who speaks the truth. Verse 14. A king's wrath is a messenger of death, but a wise man will appease it. Verse 15. When a king's face brightens, it means life. His favor is like a rain cloud in spring. Verse 16. How much better to get wisdom than gold, to choose understanding rather than silver. Verse 17. The highway of the upright avoids evil. He who guards his way guards his life. Verse 18. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Verse 19. Better to be lowly in spirit and among the oppressed than to share plunder with the proud. Verse 20. Whoever gives heed to instruction prospers, and blessed is he who trusts in the Lord. Verse 21. The wise in heart are called discerning, and pleasant words promote instruction. Verse 22. Understanding is a fountain of life to those who have it, but folly brings punishment to fools. Verse 23. A wise man's heart guides his mouth, and his lips promote instruction. Verse 24. Pleasant words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Verse 25. There is a way that seems right to a man, but the end it leads to death. Verse 26. The laborer's appetite works for him, his hunger drives him on. 27. A scoundrel plots evil, and his speech is like a scorching fire. Verse 28. A perverse man stirs up dissension, and a gossip separates close friends. Verse 28. A violent man entices his neighbor and leads him down to a path that is not good. Verse 30. He who winks with his eye is plotting perversity. He who pursues his lips is bent on evil. I'll read that again, verse 30. He who winks with his eye is plotting perversity, and he who purses his lips is bent on evil. Verse 31. Gray hair is a crown of splendor. It is attained by a righteous life. Verse 32. Better a patient man than a warrior, a man who controls his temper than one who takes a city. Verse 33. The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. And I'll stop there. I read to verse 18 of the book of Proverbs. Lead me and guide me along the way. Lord, if you lead me, I cannot stray. Lord, let me walk each day with thee. Lead me, O Lord, lead me, and guide me along the way. Lord, if you lead me, I cannot stray. Lord, let me walk each day with thee. Lead me, O Lord, lead me. And Father, I thank you for your word of wisdom. And Father, right now, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. And I pray that those who listen to the spoken word will take heed and will learn what it is to get wisdom. But in all you're getting, get understanding. Father, we thank you that you will order our steps as we listen to your word and take heed to your word in the name of the Lord Jesus. And I just bless you today, whoever's going to listen. I pray that he will cover you with his feathers, and may the peace of the Lord, let him cover you with the wisdom May the peace of the Lord that passeth all understanding guard your heart and mind through Jesus Christ, our Lord. I'm loving you more every day, loving you more every day. The more I love you, I want to show you I'm loving you more. Yes, I'm loving you more. Yes, I'm loving you more every day. Just think of the food God has given us, the spiritual food. Fill me now, Jesus, come and fill me now. Fill me with your hallowed presence. Come, oh come, and fill me now. God bless you until I send the next message, the spoken word, which will be from Proverbs chapter 17. Have a blessed day, evening or morning. This is Apostle Shirley Evans, continuing to love you.